So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Smart Talk, this edition. So in this edition, what we are going to discuss is HR's role in the mental health work. For the session, for the same, we are delighted to have Ms. Betsheva Sheth with us today. She's a
Thank you.
counseling psychologist and special educator with over 19 years of experience in promoting mental health and supporting individuals with special needs. Betsheva has worked extensively on issues like anxiety, then depression, PTSD, and relationship challenges, helping people build resilience and confidence. She also conducts workshops and designs programs that empower both individuals and educators. Today, she will be sharing her insights on HR's role in mental health at work. So please join me in welcoming Ms. Betsheva Sheth.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for having me here. I'm really looking forward to a very exciting and interactive session, if I may say so. All right. Gaurav, I believe you would be helping and supporting me with the presentation. Am I right?
Okay, so you want me to play the
Sure.
presentation?
Yes, please, because
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So let
So
me
while
share.
Gaurav is sharing his screen, I'm hoping that we can have an interactive session. Please, we do have time for question and answers towards the end. But if there's anything that you would like to share during the presentation, maybe some anecdotes or experiences, or you have questions that probably you don't feel like waiting for, maybe you could just raise your hand or put it up in the chat box, and we'll be happy to take them. All right. Okay. So, Gaurav, whenever you're ready, let's begin.
Yes.
Many of us are quite aware today about how important mental well-being uh, is at not only just home and social settings, but equally important or maybe more important when it comes to workplace, right? I keep saying this to everyone wherever I work, my clients, wherever I do workshops with. If we sit down to think, we are actually spending most of our awake hours of the day with our colleagues and at office working, right? And many of us quietly, subtly are fighting battles that maybe none of our colleagues or managers or supervisors are even aware of. And it doesn't take much to be kind or to be nice or just to, if you can't do anything, like, I'm sure all of us have always heard this, if we can't do anything, don't do anything at all. It doesn't take much to be kind. But as HRs or as supervisors or as people that is responsible for well-being at the office, at the corporates, I think somewhere it is nice to have a little bit of tools, a little bit of understanding as to what is it that we can look out for and how is it that we can support our members to lead a more productive and a more fulfilling life, right? So today's session is more about understanding what well-being looks like, what are the signs or the red flags for you as an HR professional to look into, what are the few things that you can do as a first aider, and when is it that we can make a referral without sounding or being too oppressive and saying that, hey, I see there's something wrong and you need to see someone. It doesn't have to be like a task for them to do, but feeling more approached, more safe, not judged, and feeling supported and saying that, okay, they care, and hence they're asking us to probably seek help and support. Gaurav, are we ready? I mean, is there something that we can, do we need another minute or two?
I'm
Okay,
sharing my
I
screen right now. Yes, let me
sure.
share.
Yes, I think the screen is up. I'm hoping that everyone can see it.
Guys, if
So
you can
as
see my screen, please, yes, please put yes in the chat box.
we've got some thumbs up. We've got another thumbs up. So yes, I think it's quite visible.
Cool.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. All right. So as I just mentioned earlier, we are going to look at signs and what is it that we can be more aware about, mindful about. Once that happens, what is it that we can do as mental health first aiders in their environment? And how then we can subtly nudge them when we feel the need is really high to take appropriate support and action. All right. Okay. Let's move on. Gaurav, can we have the next slide? Okay. So as I said, these are the few agendas or the objectives that we will be looking on. And we'll also talk about certain case studies or from leading companies that will help us give it a better interact, be able to give a deeper reflection as to what our roles as HR can more be amplified and deepened within. All right. Okay. Let's go on to the next. The next slide has a lot more statistics that will come up. And I'm going to leave that up for a bit. I'm only going to read out a few that are more alarming, and the rest I'm going to leave up on the screen for you all to just quickly scan through. Gaurav, can we have the next slide, please? Okay, as I said, a lot of statistics to look into. Um, so 15% of working adults globally will or do suffer from some kind of mental health issue. And unfortunately, it leads to a lot of loss of productivity. Okay. Where our role as HR comes in is that we can drive a lot of preventive measures or preventive campaigns and risk assessments or trainings to be able to identify those signs earlier, and then going forward to also be able to identify places where that support can be given, right? Um, Unfortunately, only about 23% of global CHROs will actually prioritize employee or workplace mental well-being. 21% globally, workers feel that, okay, they're actually being cared for or actually being heard or, understand. There is just about 13% globally that discuss mental health at work. And can you imagine just 13%? How low is that ratio? I always, when I start with different topics of workshops, and I'm going to mention this here also, I want you all to think about this. How many of us, and this is amongst us also, and office colleagues, and other employees, sitting at the say, at the pantry or at the coffee vending machine and having a conversation, just general banter, and one person will say, "Oh, you know what? I was not able to come into office last 2 3 days because I've been diagnosed with say high BP, or I've got diabetes, or how many of a year if I ask you to just with show of hands say, do you all suffer from high BP, or you all have migraines, or you all suffer from sinus? Just please, just with a thumbs up. Any physical thing like low BP, diabetes, high BP, migraines, maybe arthritis, whatever it is, physical ailments. How many of you all have these conversations about physical ailments? Can I just, with a thumbs up, uh, get some understanding? Do you all have these discussions with friends at office or colleagues? We do, right? Yeah, we do. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. So we're very open about talking about our physical ailment, right? But in reality, how many of us or your colleagues or your employees have been actually able to come up and say, I'm sorry, I cannot come into work today because from the last 5 6 days or maybe more, I'm just finding it difficult for no reason to wake up and to get productive. There is nothing that is wrong with my life. Everything is going well, but I'm just feeling low. I do not have the energy. And hence, I have to lie and say that, hey, I have a headache or I have a cold. This is a conversation that we never have around a coffee vending machine or in the pantry. Or we don't just say, we don't have these conversations in that, yeah, for the last few days, I don't know why, but I just feel like crying for no reason, or I'm feeling this chest. I've got all the tests done, but I'm feeling heaviness on my chest. My daily activities that I really love to do and find so much of joy in, I just want to avoid it. I'm a social person, and now today I do not want to say a hello to anybody. We don't have these conversations. Why we don't have these conversations? Because the fear of the stigma and the taboo around mental well-being. And if I come up and say that, hey, I suffer from depression, or I feel I'm having depressive episodes, we often think that how people are going to perceive us in that environment and say, oh, good Lord, abhi matlab, this person is a mental case. Unfortunately, that's the language we use or we think about, right? Or now this person is not going to be productive enough because he's not going to be thinking clearly, or he or she is not eligible now for the promotion because if he can't take care of his mental health, how is he going to be able to take care of his work and how is he or she going to be able to meet timelines? Do we think so much when we are aware that this person suffers from a high BP or occasional migraines or weather change sinus? No. That time we feel that, yeah, okay, that's a physical ailment. Medication will help. Some kind of lifestyle change will help. He or she is fantastic with their skill sets. The moment we talk about mental well-being or we talk about, mental illness, our focus or our understanding of it completely changes. And hence, you will see that even employees accessing mental health services are very, very low globally. Right. So we need to change the narrative. We need to talk about it more of as an illness that can be taken care of with the right steps, just how we talk about physical health, right? Okay, 70%, 78% of organizations provide mental health resources, yet only 47% of HR professionals face role-related mental health strains, needing self-care programs to sustain the support. All right, let's move on to the next slide. Gaurav, can we have the next slide, please? Okay. Why is this so important? Why is it that we need to start creating more awareness and start destigmatizing this conversation around mental well-being and also having more um, support that is available for all of us, right? It has been scientifically proven that once we have more resilient and healthy work environments where mental well-being is given a lot of importance, it definitely enhances your work performance and the way that we adapt to changes and challenges. It encourages not only mental health, but mental health is always linked to your physical health and you're being proactively taking care of your own well-being. It leads to better retention, higher retention, and more talent attraction. The word of mouth about an office, about how the culture is and how supportive an environment is, goes a very long way in the employee cycle. And of course, it bridges the generational gap. We are all been seeing these reels about how the Gen Zs nowadays are with, the millennials or even the earlier generations. And there's this little gap of not being able to understand or probably not being able to get there. And that stress or that need to accommodate becomes that high. But when we can have more open, non-judgmental, and solution-based conversations, those generational gaps start to close, right? Okay, thanks, Gaurav. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Okay, what is it that the HR as a catalyst can do for our workplace well-being, right? Of course, partnering with mental health professionals, implementing feedback mechanisms, and monitoring well-being metrics. So we do a lot of these surveys, we do a lot of these researches, we do a lot of talking, exit interviews, feedback sessions, all of that. And we can definitely slip one, two of these well-being surveys or metrics, which gives us a fair idea as to how the office is functioning or what is the general health of a company, right? This facilitating peer support group is a very fantastic tool when the office is really big and we have a lot of new people joining in due to expansion, etc. It's always nicer to have, the senior members support the new joinees, also share their experiences, talk about how the office has been, working with different initiatives to be able to give those employees those benefits, and where is it and who is it that they can approach anytime they're facing any different kind of challenge, right? Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. This is a little bit of a quiz, and I would like you to take this up. If you can just scan it, and as I'm hoping that you know that these are anonymous, your answers are not going to be recorded as to who has mentioned. So please be as honest as you can. Is there any way, Gaurav, that we can display the answers on the next slide? Okay, so the signs to watch out for are fatigue. Constantly you're seeing one of our star performers, being tired all the time, from the time they enter to the time they leave. There are a lot of silly mistakes or bigger mistakes, errors that are coming out. There's concentration has dipped. Um, there is irritability for the smallest of things. Once a jovial person, once a very happy-go-lucky or a quiet person is now snapping and getting more upset or not willing to take up more challenges of work, and always being upset about the kind of work they're turning in. So these are small little signs. The other little signs are, a person who's always been a part of the group or taking initiatives and now started being a little more secluded or a little more quiet, being away from groups, or dressing not the way that they used to, probably looking a little more shabby, or probably looking a little more less giving of eye contact, etc. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay. What is it that we can do as HR professionals to spot and then to respond to these signs, right? Most importantly is the second point, that we need to be the first, we need to be the champions and lead this conversation of openness, and this conversations of acceptance, and this conversations of non-judgmental and safe spaces, right? They're going to look at you. They are going to look at how you are setting the office space and tone for them to feel comfortable, right? Have these conversations often, or drive it through the newsletters or whatever ways that you all keep employees informed about various activities, that there can be reporting done, or you can approach the support in an anonymous way. You do not need to come out and give us all information. Most people are worried about accessing mental health support through office, and then wondering whether the HR gets to know it or their supervisors get to know it. So there has to be clear conversations as to how the system works and how their information is absolutely confidential, and no information is ever coming to the HR professionals or to their supervisors. Um, we need to look at how we can educate them on, or educate ourselves with behavioral indicators, and conduct ourselves with mental health first aid trainings. What is it that we can do at the time when we see there's a lot of distress or immediate distress? What are the escalation points? How do we de-escalate it? When do we make a deferral? How do we support that individual from time of identification to how do we approach them, if we can diffuse it over there and provide that kind of support, or get them ready to seek support, right? As I said, the most important thing in an office for us to understand or look at is how much and how fast or how slowly are they withdrawing and how much their performance is dipping, right? Okay, there will be marked absenteeism or there will be marked, withdrawal from office celebrations. So these are very telltale signs that we can always be looking out for. Okay, all right. In a meeting, can we go on to the next slide? Okay, we are going to take another quiz. And on a scale of 1 to 5, how often do you notice stress signs in your team? Any way that we can display the answers that are coming up?
Hello, I guess you have to share the screen, otherwise I
Oh, no,
won't
so I
because
don't
I
have
don't
it.
have it.
Okay, so
Okay,
yeah, Priya would be having it. No problem.
okay. So is Priya right now available? Is she available on the call? If she can share the
Let me
screen.
check. I don't know. I'll have to check. I'll just message her. Okay, I can't get through her. No worries. So this is basically more of a self-reflection to for you all to see whether you know how adept you all are and how well you all feel that or confident you all feel that you all can look out for these signs. Right? Let's move on. Okay. Uh, I often tell everyone, and this is something that I'm going to tell all of you too, is that whenever we listen or somebody's talking to us, we are hearing them. And we're hearing because we want to respond or we want to react, right? Because we have to say something back. But what if we change it? What if we add one more step when someone is talking to us? What if we listen, we reflect, and then we respond? Right? So we take a pause. We take a pause to actually listen to what they're saying, actually hear what the matter is. Look at the tone, pay attention to the body language, all of that. Take a pause. And then instead of reacting, let's respond, right? Sometimes, most of the times, if someone is approaching us to talk about something that they're upset about or something that is distressing them, or they're unhappy about, uh, a lot can be taken care of just by giving them that entire attention of 5 or 10 minutes when they're ranting or when they're complaining or when they're saying something, um, and empathizing with them, or just hearing and nodding and saying that yes, I can hear you, I hear you. um, Many a times, most of the escalation or the irritation or the anger at that point of time diffuses only when we can give them that undivided 5 or 10 minute attention and acknowledge that they're going through something, right? Uh, Key principle, as I said, always, it's so important. And I think this lies a lot with HR professionals where we are the ones that are going to take up and talk about what our office is going to look like or what our office culture is going to stand for and how safe our employees are going to feel when when they want to approach and come and talk to us about something. There was this one place that I worked just very recently, a few years ago, and I was coming from another work environment, which was a little stark difference because they're talking or even mentioning anything about being upset or needing to take a break because family needs you or something was just very terribly looked down upon. In fact, falling sick even in the hospital, I remember I used to send out emails and all of that, and that was the culture that I had learned. Cut to, I came to this place. I heard a lot of fantastic things about this place. So they're fantastic. They're very, very, very supportive of colleagues and all of that. And I said, people are saying this because they want to say it. It's a big name office and all of that, and they want to say that. Um, and rightly so, when I joined in, unfortunately, I did go through a lot of, ups and downs with family, and I had to take a break. In the third or fourth month of me joining, I had to take a break for 5 days, and again about another 3 days. And I was worried. I was really worried about approaching. So I went to my supervisor and I told him that I have this thing, and I have to take 3 days, 5 days break. And initially he was like, yeah, yeah, please go ahead. Everything okay? And I said, yeah, this is the first time I'm asking for break. He's going to be very happy about it. He's going to be nice and put his best foot forward. And I was like, okay, thank you so much. Unfortunately, the problem wasn't resolved, and I had to reapply for break. And I was worried, but I again went up to my supervisor and I approached him and I asked him, and he said, "Absolutely, Beth, take whatever time you need." I did that, came back, but I was drained. I was tired. I was exhausted taking care of my loved one. Um, and I would still show up to work probably, my timing was say 7 o'clock in the morning and I would punch in at 7:20 or 7:30. Earlier to this incident, I would be there at 6:45. Um, and it happened for about a week, 10 days, because I would go back home. My loved one was still recovering from the surgery, etc. And rightly so. After about 2 weeks, I got a call from my HR, and I was called down, and I was really worried. And I said, "Okay, there goes my job." And when I entered, and she asked me to sit down, and we talked and everything. And then she approached the topic. She's like, "That is everything okay? You're the one who's come in at 6:45. You've been coming in at 7:30. You look a little tired. Your energies are still the same, but you still look a little tired." And so and so, that's my supervisor, mentioned that there was a family emergency. How is your loved one doing, etc. And I just opened up and I said, "Yeah, she's still recovering. It's a little tiring because I come here, then I have to go back to work and all of that." And the beauty of it all was she tells me, she's like, we often forget that when we are caring for a loved one, the carer requires more time to heal than the person who's actually going through, because they are just resting, taking care, they're being taken care of. The other person is burning the candle at both ends. And what I want you to do is that I would like you for another couple of days to just take it easy. I'm not saying take a break if you don't want to. If you feel like this is your escape from, whatever is happening, you want to come home, come here. But come in for lesser hours or come in alternate days. Take your time. No one is saying that your job is at stake or your performance is going to be measured because of this. Come as and when you feel. Take your break if you need another 2 days just to recover. You took your break to take care. Now you take 2 more days to recover and come back. And I think her having said that made me feel so comfortable that I actually told her that, listen, I was really, didn't know how to do this or whatever, and I'd like to take a break. But I took a break for just one day, just that talk of being able to feel that support and that openness. I came back with feeling much more comfortable with a place where I could say that, okay, you know what, I'm going to come back and feel work, because I know if I'm very tired and exhausted, I can just go approach them and tell them, listen, I'm really out. I can't take care of myself anymore. I need a break. And that was the atmosphere and that was the culture that continued and still continues in that workplace. And I, as an ex-employee now, uh, cannot thank them enough, because that's the culture that I promote now wherever I. All right. Okay, also very important is to maintain confidentiality, to let our people know that if they're approaching us and they're talking to us, it is going to be confidential. It is not going to go to anyone, right? Make them aware of the EAP services and the EAP crisis line that they can access outside office if the need arises. All right? Okay, let's move on to the next slide, please. As I said, choose to listen, show interest. Uh, it takes a lot to put your phone down. It's not much for us at that point of time. It's just about 5 minutes putting the phone down, looking at the person, giving them that eye contact, soft eye contact, asking open questions, allowing them, giving them the space to literally talk about their thoughts and feelings. How are they feeling about the situation, or if you're not getting the crux of it, or if you feel that they are holding back, you can encourage them to talk more. Can you do you want to share more? Can you tell me more about it? Paraphrase it. Ask them, okay, so this is what you're trying to say. This is what you're feeling. Accepting and acknowledging that they are feeling this way it goes a very, very long way. And my request and suggestion would always be refrain from using statements with don't worry, it's a passing phase, you'll be fine, or don't worry, this is just stress, everybody goes through it. Don't generalize it. Just accept it and say that I'm sorry that you are going through it, and tell me how we can support you better. Or paraphrase their statements. Sometimes if you can't do any of them, just give them a listening ear. Uh, don't rush to give them a way out of it or a solution out of it. As I said earlier, also, sometimes it's just a rant that they want to come, or so they just want to get it off their chest. Be an active listener, be a silent listener, be a listener that they don't feel is going to be, you're judging them in any manner, right? Okay, let's go on to the next slide, please. Let's take another quiz. What do you think is the biggest barrier to asking for help at work? If you all could give me one word answers in the chat box, that would also be helpful. So for me, it's more about, uh, you know, the stigma around asking for help, or the way it's going to be perceived when I'm asking for help, or it's a sign of weakness, is what people think. What do you all think? If you all are comfortable enough to put a few answers in the chat box, I'd really appreciate that. The stigma associated with absolutely people making fun of that person, others taking it for granted, using it for their uh, own benefit. Absolutely. Sometimes it just becomes the office gossip or office fun talk. Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on. Okay, as I said, it's very important. So we do launch as HRs. We're always looking out for what is the better things that we can do, and we launch a lot of initiatives. But we also need to understand that sometimes because an employee or a colleague is doing so much more than going through remembering what these initiatives are, they tend to forget, or it slips through the cracks, right? So it's very important to um, at regular intervals to remind them about the initiatives that we have launched. For example, the EAP programs, and what are the benefits and what are the characteristics of an EAP program. For example, it's free counseling sessions, X number of counseling sessions that they can avail of. It's about self-help. It is confidential. It is non-judgmental. It is by professionals. We don't get to know about the support you're availing for, etc. It's very important to keep driving this at regular intervals. It's just like a little bit of a reminder that, hey, we care for you. If there's anything that you'll need, please approach this. If you're not approaching it, do not worry. These are the characteristics of it. This is how it works. And then also talking to supervisors and managers, right? Having workshops on how do they, as managers and supervisors of teams, be able to recognize these burnout signs, being able to recognize signs of stress, being able to understand, there's a gap or there's miscommunication or there's anything of that sort, and how once they recognize that, what can they do and how can empathetic communication or good communication and listening be actually helpful in dousing the fire before it becomes really, really big, right? Um, Flexible leave and wellness policies. As I said, this same office, after I joined, I removed about 5 years there. And when we were talking at one point of time before the new year could begin, we talked about destigmatizing mental well-being, mental health, and we introduced something called mental health day in your leave option. And instead of sick leave and annual leave and on duty or any other, there was an option of mental health leave, mental health day leave. And I didn't have to give any explanation if I'm taking that. So I would just click on that, and that was it. And there was a rule when we did a training that if any employee clicks on that, the manager or anybody's not going to call up and say, Kya ho gaya? Bata mere ko. No, we will leave it and we will just say that, okay, you're okay. But if you see signs after that, then the manager or the HR would probably say that, okay, you know what? Hey, if there's anything that you need, we are here. Or please approach, or we would encourage you to use the support system of EAP services, etc. But we did introduce mental health day, right? Okay, let's move on. One of the policies that I would love for many offices to introduce when we talk about employee wellness, we usually have these uh, celebrations that we do, and we ask our employees to stay back after office. Or we say, if Saturday is working half day, then we do the celebration probably after the half day is over, or towards the end of the half day, or end of the day, work day, and then many times it is, it's spilled over to a longer period of time. Uh, I always have this joke with the HRs, and I always tell them, you all really want to do employee wellness now. One day of that week of the celebration week, or celebration a month or whatever, leave us early. Put out an email. Those who have any personal errands to do or whatever can leave half day today. Try that out and see the spike in productivity, the spike in people being more present, the spike in people wanting to take up more responsibility and help one another more, just because we as an organization understood how important it is for them to go probably or leave office 1 hour or 2 hours earlier than usual, and how much more they can get done. In my present place, we have started this on your birthday. You do not need to come to office. And of course, we have this monthly birthday celebration of everybody. So we've started that okay, on your birthday, you either can apply for leave or you can work from home and you don't need to be here at office. And just that little thing of, oh, it's my birthday, it makes you feel very special. There's a lot of smiles in office all the time because of that. Anyway, okay. So we can have this culture. Again, in the early organization, we had tongue out Tuesdays. That is what we called it, and we called Monday morning coffee mornings. Coffee mornings were more with smaller batches, your teams, where we do a lot of potlucks, and everybody would talk about what went well in the week and what the coming week looks like, both professionally and personally, if people wanted to share. We also had a lot of wellness activities that will be, given out for employees. If there's a gym in the office or if there's a swimming pool or something, we would open it up slightly earlier in the morning or close it later in the evening for our employees to, actually avail of those services, right? Have anonymous feedback constantly to find out how the environment is going. If you feel that there is conflict or distress, have those one-to-one confidential conversations. All right. Uh, okay. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay. How do you know that what you are doing is really effective? Okay. One is, of course, we track it through our surveys. You will see that retention is higher. You will also see that absenteeism goes down. You will also see productivity getting better. You will also see the general atmosphere of the office being lighter, being more open, being more transparent, all of that, right? And the productivity, you will automatically be able to assess that. You will also know when people are wanting to join the organization more because of the word of mouth, right? So these all will actually tell you how mental health initiatives can impact your workplace outcomes. All right, let's move on. I'm happy to take up any questions or anything that you all would like to share. One thing that I'd like to also point out is it's very important to even continuously support supervisors and managers and have check-ins with them and see if they are having any challenges in managing their teams or managing any untoward or difficult situation, right? And help them and support them in maneuvering that. Because not many a times team members will come directly to you. They rely a lot on their managers. So we can support the managers in order to help them support their team members. Okay, the continuous effort, as I said, is doing a quarterly check-in, gather employee feedback, expand the EAP awareness. As I said, we can always have regular check-ins or regular reminders of what all initiatives we have in place. We can have these lovely wellness challenges in office. In another workplace, we had started this taking, a physical well-being, and what we did was a group of us. We all decided what our target goals were, right? And me being the lazy one, I hate to exercise and I hate going to a gym. I mean, I don't understand the gym culture. Nahi samajh mein aata, I can't understand it. But I wanted to lose weight and I wanted to get a little fitter. And we had this challenge that all of us are going to put a goal of whether it's whatever well-being. And I had chosen physical well-being. And in physical well-being, I wanted to lose X amount of weight and get fitter. So I joined this group where we were all lazy, like-minded lazy people that would only go home and sit on the couch. So what we started to do was that we have to do something about it. And it was a challenge. Which team will be able to reach their goal on that particular day? They would have measured what our goals were and how much we've been able to measure. So we were also very competitive at that point. We actually started with simple things. We started with the entire team that had decided to lose X number of this and get a little fitter and lazy. That we will not take the elevator down while going home. We will get down 11 stories. And we were eight of us. So it was lots of fun. The stairway was full of noise at 5:30 in the evening. irrespective, we started to do that. Once we gained confidence, okay, we can get down, we started climbing 5 stories and then take the lift, the elevator back from there. And then we came up to 9 and then we came up to 11. But the whole thing was because it was a group and because it became a challenge and because we found fun ways to do it. There was a different, you know, atmosphere in the office. Somebody's working on concentration. One group was working on concentration, one group was working on time management, one group was working on health, one was working on healthy eating. And that group really suffered a lot because they were junk food eaters. So we can try something like this where the ownership lies on the employees, but maintaining it and driving it lies with us, right? Okay, so that's something that we can try. Let's move on to the next slide. So this is a little case study with Johnson and Johnson, and there was a lot of absenteeism. There's a lot of cost that goes into healthcare when we're looking at workforce. And this initiative was launched by the CEO James Burke. That's Live for Life. It started with wanting to just try and see where the gaps are, but it became into a very comprehensive, integrated EAP program, which also worked with occupational health and it worked with stress management and it worked with resilience training and it worked with mental health screenings. And there was a lot of HR-led initiatives that were done later, clinics that were set up, and it was fantastic. There was a lot of recognition for this. Then slowly and surely it changed, and I'm sure most of you all know about these behavior tools and the holistic support, including, because we have turned so digital, we can have a lot of digital coaching, we can have yoga, we can have families being able to access this kind of support. What later on, after doing all of this, they realized that the outcome was that there was a lot of reduce or reduction in absenteeism, less of utilization of hospitals and services of health. It boosted employee participation and enthusiasm to above 90%. And it was just a very happy space to be in. Uh, yeah, so that's one of the things that really stands out, that, it's not difficult, small steps, but consistent and prolonged steps in the right direction really can change the overall feeling of well-being in an office, right? Okay, let's move on, please. So, what are we looking at today? What have we spoken about? We've spoken more about understanding and being a little more cognizant or a little bit more mindful in what are the telltale signs? What are the things that we can look out for? How do we separate mental health issues from actually performance issues? What does it actually mean to be actively and empathetically listening and taking an initiative? How is it that we can talk about EAP services? How is it that we can keep on, in regular intervals, talking about the various campaigns and the various initiatives we take up for them, and encourage them by, wanting them to take up those support systems by also explaining to them their key characteristics of it being confidential, non-judgmental, that we don't get to know anything about it. Of course, and also creating resources with regards to mental health or well-being resources. Thanks, Gaurav. Can we move on to the next slide, please? And so we are nearly towards the end. I'd like to open the forum for any questions that they would have, any doubts, anything that they would like to share.
Guys, if you want to ask any question, you can simply raise your hand so that I can unmute you. Or else, if you're shy, you can put your questions in the chat box.
How can teams collectively reduce stress through communication or collaboration? Um, Tanmay, right? If I hope I'm taking your name correctly and pronouncing your name correctly. Tanmay, the most important key product or the key ingredient here is transparency, is honesty, and is being non-judgmental, right? If I open up in front of my team and say that, listen, hey, this is difficult, I can't do this, or present an opinion that doesn't match with the group, and if I'm going to be judged there, or if I'm going to be penalized for it, I'm going to shut down, right? So as a team, the person who's leading that team needs to set the tone, needs to be able to say that, hey, anybody and everybody can express their opinion in an accepted form, not by, of course, being rude or abusive or any of that. So those are the tones that need to be set by the team leader and also being modeled by the team leader, right? And then once the person does so and explains or talks about, say, a different opinion, is also acknowledging that, okay, you're coming from this place, I'm okay with whatever you're saying. Sometimes, more often than not, if it's the whole group versus one or two, everybody should know that, okay, we can have this communication and say, let's agree to disagree, but leave that conversation at the table, go back out and do whatever we do as a team. So these rules and regulations and modeling of these rules and regulations are very important by every team member and team leader, right? So that's where the stress will definitely start to reduce because you're feeling welcomed. You're allowed to talk about what you feel is okay and what you agree with and you disagree with without feeling penalized or judged. What role does leadership play in normalizing conversations about stress and well-being? Um, a lot. As I said, they are. So let's look at leadership. Let's take it away from corporates and let's put it into family life. Okay, I'm going to give you an anecdote there. As children, we tend to mimic our elders in our environment. Okay, so how our father will say probably react to stress, or our mother talks about or behaves when she's angry, is how we will learn to handle it, right? So many a times as growing up or our own kids, we will always hear, "अरे इसकी तो मम्मी के जैसे इसका गुस्सा है," or he behaves XYZ like his father XYZ, right? So if you now translate that into office, okay, if I, as an employee, I'm seeing my leader or leadership team going through a stressful time. And if I have to tiptoe in office because वो लोग का stressful meeting चल रहा है office में, right? And अभी आके बाहर, we are going to get it. We don't even know what's happening. We are going to get it, or we are going to get ये report दो, वो report दो for no reason. That by itself is saying that that leadership team is bringing down its stress in a negative way. But what if we train or work with leadership and handling or being able to communicate their stress in a normal manner? So, cut to if they come out from the board meeting and they say, "Hey, team, okay, so they're going through a rough financial period, or this quarter has not been really good. I am really stressed out because ऊपर से CEO से ये आया है. Tell us, can we look at different ways of how we can work this out? This team, marketing team, you all are going to get some more work to do. तुम लोग का numbers बढ़ने वाला है. This team, what's happening here? I am saying I am stressed. I am saying we're not doing a good quarter. I'm also preparing you guys that, hey, because this has not gone well, so and so thing is going to come down to you all. But we're going to do this together. Versus, I come out from the meeting, marketing team, you all have not met your numbers. Now your numbers are going to go increase. So and so team, social media, तुम लोग ने ये नहीं किया. I don't care. I want this. Which is a better place to be in, right? So, working with the leadership team of saying that, hey, I am stressed, or our team has not done well this time. Normalize it. Okay. Um, when I take up workshops on depression or stress or even PTSD or any of those kind of things for corporates, uh, and because we are HR, or most HRs here, so I'm happy to share this with you guys. I will talk about lived experiences. I stand there in front of a group of say 100, 150, 200, 5 people, 10 people, and I ask them, looking at me, can you all tell me if I'm an individual that suffers from depression and anxiety? And I'm putting this out to you all right now. You all have been with me for an hour. Gaurav, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yes, tell me.
By me conducting this workshop or while we are talking and interacting, do I come across as an individual that suffers from depression and anxiety or mental health issues? Anybody, I'm asking anyone of you. Do I come across as an individual that's working through depression and anxiety or has worked through depression and anxiety? By the look of
Okay.
it, just by looking at me, by me interacting with you all for 1 hour.
Hmm. No, I don't think so.
Okay. क्यों हमारे दिमाग में क्या होता है जब डिप्रेशन के बारे में हम सोचते हैं when we think about depression or we think about anxiety we will always think about a person depressed always crying shabbily dressed
Mhm.
upset all the time or very cranky or going off the handle for no reason anxious that means she has to be moving all the time and all of that people I am a survivor of or I have fought acute depression and major anxiety just very recently. And I continue to suffer or I continue to battle depression and anxiety even today. However, I have been weaned off my medication. And while I was on very heavy medication and therapy, I continued to work and I flourished. Nothing stopped. And I had open dialogues with my workers, with my colleagues, with my seniors, they all knew about it. And I think one of the reasons that I could do this because I was accepted. I was accepted in the fact that हाँ तो क्या हो गया लोग people heart ailment के साथ भी तो आते हैं ना काम पे depression बहुत ही बड़ी बात है you'll work through it right uh, and even today I sometimes do see my psychiatrist or my therapist when I can't take it much um, I do have my depressive episodes but that's just like having a migraine in the night and getting up and coming to work the next morning right. Depression occurs when our questions go unanswered by the person you're expressing your thoughts to, and they're not responding properly. Not really, Mr. Om Prakash. Depression is a neurological. It's neurotransmitters. It is a proper disease that happens, and it can happen to anybody without a cause. Yes, many triggers push you into a higher depressive state but it can just be your neurotransmitters misfiring sometimes also, right? Yes, people, when they're not heard and not accepted, can also get into depression and the neurotransmitters can change. But it is a proper disease that can happen to anybody.
So there is one more question in chat box which you missed from
I'm sorry.
Prashant. Yeah.
How can small, mid-sized
Hmm.
companies promote well-being
Right.
with limited resources? Okay, so small, mid-sized companies, again, you don't need to do anything elaborate. As I said, choti cheeze, open conversations, non-judgmental conversations, not allowing conflict to escalate within teams. Bringing the conversation as to whatever it is, let's resolve it, move on further whatever it is यहाँ पे बात करके खत्म कर रहे आगे जाते हैं if you all don't have EAP services or something of that sort the HR can nominate people or people can nominate themselves to be mentors to work with one another right Pratyusha, as an employee, I would like to know if there are any quick and practical ways employees can manage stress. Of course, there are many, and I think this is something that we'll have to keep for another day because this is something that's a completely different topic, and we can have much more discussions on that soon.
Any more questions, guys? We already reached 4:10. We exceeded
Yes.
the yeah.
Yeah. That's
So
another thing I'm always very aware and mindful of. I don't like keeping my team 1 minute back after work. Uh, I've always told them that I'm happy for you all to come 1 minute late. Of course, not later than that. But I'm unhappy if you all are staying 1 minute late. That means उन्होंने अपना काम खत्म बराबर से नहीं किया. 9 hours अगर कम पड़ता है तो फिर तुम लोग productive नहीं, learn to figure out your 9 hours. Staying back in office by staying another 1 hour, 2 hours does not show that you're a productive member of the organization. Being able to complete your work and your task within those hours and leaving on time is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess there are no more questions in chat box.
All right.
All right.
If there's
So
anything, you can always write in and we're happy to answer them.
sure. So if you have any contact details where people can reach out to you, like if they
Uh,
want anything for their
Gaurav,
organization, if they yeah.
that would be to Mantra Care itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you can put the website, it's
Oh,
Mantra Care, right?
yeah. I wouldn't be happy because I'm their consultant. Uh, or
Okay.
maybe you have connected with me on LinkedIn. Am I right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let me get back to you over there. I'll
Sure.
take their details and I'll send it to you. Okay.
Okay, so I guess Chirag, are you there on a call? You can unmute yourself.
Hey, hi Gaurav.
Yeah, hi Chirag.
Hi. Hey, hi.
Hello,
Thanks a
Chirag.
lot, Bitseva. Hi.
Pleasure is all mine.
Uh, yes, it was a wonderful session from your side.
Thank
So I hope that everybody who attended the session kind of loved it and got to know there was a lot of takeaways for them to kind of more to ponder about, think about, and hopefully implement,
you.
right? So,
I'm so
uh,
glad. Thank you so
yeah,
much. Thank you. It's been a
yeah,
pleasure.
yeah. So I know that we're kind of running quite a bit over time, right? So I won't essentially kind of keep everyone waiting. So because what Gaurav was essentially mentioning, right? So this session was kind of brought in by um, Gaurav's team and Pocket HRMS as well as the Healthy team, right? Who believes in holistic health and wellness solutions for corporates, right? So as I
Mhm.
promised, I'll not take more than a couple of minutes. I know you guys already have your work scheduled, right? So at Healthy, of which I'm a co-founder and the COO, right, we believe that every organization can provide holistic health and wellness, right, depending upon their size, budget, scale, right? And we cater to organizations across, right from, I think, 15 people to 1.5 lakh people, right? So kind of we provide services across physical health, mental health, financial health, as well as nutrition, services like AHC, diagnostics, consultations, whether it's teleconsultation, physical consultation, mental health consultation, right, personal coaching, vaccination, dental, as well as bringing you all the different health and wellness uh, programs across in the market at discounted prices. So the idea is to create a platform which can partner and provide all the different health and wellness services that you may want. We're one of the pioneers in this corporate wellness space, been there for the last 13 years now, served more than 600 corporates, um, have a widespread network, pan India with across 1,000 cities, right? And with significantly mm, uh, significant mm, user ratings, right? User feedbacks, right? So an 81 of NPS in a health and wellness industry is very unheard of. That's the kind of NPS the likes of Amazon and Apple has, right? So traditionally, health and wellness has or higher single digit scores, right? 9, 10, 11 is the average NPS in health and wellness industry. So from that perspective and some of our clients, right? So having said that, right, so it's a pleasure that on the occasion of the World Mental Health Day, we have been able to partner with Pocket HRMS and essentially kind of come back to you with such a insightful session from Betseva. Like I said, thanks a lot again, right, for the session, and thank you everyone, right?
Sure,
Gaurav,
absolutely.
back to you. Yeah, in case. So, by the way, for anyone who are on the kind of this thing, If you have any sort of a requirement, right, whether it is on mental health, whether it is on physical health, whether it's on financial health, right? So my coordinates are on the screen, right? So Gaurav, and you can reach out to Gaurav also. He can also connect us to you, right? That's also possible, right? Happy to be of help of any sort.
So
Yes,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much
Thank
for
you.
having me,
Thank
and
you.
I'm very glad. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Bye
You
bye.
too. You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in this edition of Smart Talk. See you soon in the next month.